sir?
Yes, let's go. Ow! No, that freaking hurts. There's blood on me.
Here, let's wipe it off.
No!
Wipe it off.
Because that's dirty. You're dirty. Don't touch me with it.
2 hours later.
Ow! Stop it! Stop it!
It's alright.
No, and don't touch me. Your freaking hands are filthy and you're touching me. I don't like being touched.
All right, just
Touch me with the needle, not your filthy hands.
All right, sit down. Sit down.
No!
Eventually.
That freaking hurts! I can't sit there for 3 hours and do that! I'm sorry, but I can't! I can't sit there for 3 freaking hours doing that! I can't! No, I can't!
You're halfway done.
Steven!
You're a freaking weirdo and you're gay!
Tattoos are a very controversial thing depending on stuff like religion and I guess just beliefs as a person. And I got a few of my own. I got 5. Well, technically 4 3/4 because the Harley Quinn on my leg is not done yet, but it will be my 5th when it is all said and done, and I do plan on getting more when the time is right. I mean, I don't know how many I'm gonna end up having by the time I'm just ready and done, but once you get your first tattoo, I feel like you want another one. Like, I always thought to myself when I was 18, I always figured I was gonna wimp out, and I didn't. I got the one right here on my arm from my grandfather's, the first one, and I've gotten 4 more since, and like I said, plan on getting more. And basically, what I want to do is for people who are either thinking about getting a tattoo but hesitant, or, you know, maybe they're just worried as to how their first tattoo is going to go. These are just some things that I think you should know before getting a tattoo, because you do have to do some things and know some things to really, I guess, make it happen in a way, because trust me, like, I get it, it's scary, you're getting a needle just, you know, pounded into you constantly, and it's gonna hurt, but, you know, you just gotta, take it in stride as you go, and just follow these tips, and trust me, you will be fine. So I think the first one is probably the most important, and that is eat and drink before your appointments, and if it's okay with your tattoo artist, the tattoo shop, bring a snack with you, because if you don't eat before a tattoo appointment, you're bound to throw up and maybe even pass out, because with the needle consistently going in you, you are bleeding, and you lose a lot of your adrenaline and all this kind of stuff, and it definitely takes a toll on you. And this happened to me in my first tattoo. No one told me to eat beforehand, so I went in there on an empty stomach, and I ended up throwing up in the middle of it, looking like an idiot. And even this recent tattoo that I just got, the Harley Quinn one, during the first session, I didn't throw up, but like, I got an 11 a.m. appointment, so I ate at 9:30, got there at around 10:30, so I can, you know, do the stuff pre-getting tattooed. And we were a good bit in. It was around 2 o'clock, and keep in mind I hadn't eaten since breakfast at 9:30 a.m., and I started feeling a little lightheaded, so I asked my tattoo artist to stop. You are allowed to do that. Say, hey, can we take a break for a second? I'm just not feeling right. And I ended up going and getting some pretzel bites and eating those while my leg was getting tattooed. Plus, the tattoo artist I had actually had candy bars, so she gave me a Hershey bar to munch on as well, and that kind of got me through the rest of the scheduled appointment. So I think that is the biggest thing. You also want to bring at least like water with you to have where you can either sit it on the table if your artist will let you, or you can sit it down beside you where you can reach it. It's just very, very important, that stuff. That's probably like the most important there, because something medically can happen to you if you don't do it beforehand. You don't necessarily need to eat this big meal. You just need to eat something that'll fill you up with something. And like I said, since you're going to be there for 5 hours, maybe even more, it's best to bring a snack or two, just in case, you know, it gets to that point in your appointment where you're starting to feel a little woozy. So that's the most important one. Another thing is, don't be afraid to talk or conversate with your tattoo artist or other people in, you know, the shop. I mean, I know these people personally, or at least, you know, I've gotten to know a lot of them over the 6 or 7 years that I have known them. I think it's 6, because I turned 18 in 2016, so I would have gotten a tattoo around that point in time. And it's gotten to a point where my dad and I have actually gone to both of their houses and done work for them electric work for them, so that's just how close we got. Plus my parents were invited to my mom's tattoo artist wedding. Again, we got very, very close. So, you know, I can sit there, I can talk to people, I feel comfortable, and even my tattoo artist will sit there, we'll talk, and people are like, well, doesn't the artist have to concentrate? And yeah, I mean, I guess that's true, but when you look, the best tattoo artists are the ones who can multitask. They can, you know, tattoo and talk to you. And the reason I'm saying to do this is because there's going to be some pain that goes on. Some of it worse than the others. Like outline, when you're getting the outline done, it's not going to hurt much because the needle's not going in deep. But once you start getting into the shading and the coloring, it definitely starts to hurt more because the needle's got to go in deeper. And also depending on which part of the body you get it on, like if you get it on a really tender part of the skin, it's going to hurt a lot more. So instead of sitting there trying to think about the pain, you want to, you know, talk to somebody. That way, you know, you have your mind off of getting the tattoo, and by the time the painful part is done, it'll feel like it never happened. Well, your leg will feel, or your arm, or wherever you're getting tattooed will feel, you know, hurt like a bitch, but, you know, at least it's done, it's over with then, so I would definitely recommend doing that. I'm not saying talk their head off for the full time, but if it gets to a point where you're starting to feel, you know, you're starting to feel pain and you don't want to think about it, you want to get it off your mind, don't be afraid to bring something up or just talk to somebody there. If you have a family member or a friend that's there with you, talk to them, because then the tattoo artist can still concentrate and do their work. Then this one I think is more important to the tattoo artist because it's annoying when you go to the place, you have a scheduled appointment, and you don't know what you want. And you need to be 100% sure that you know what you want, and you need to arrive early. I had an 11 a.m. appointment. I left at 10 so I can get there by 10:30. And that was so my artist can finish drawing up whatever, and if she needed to make changes to it, then she can make changes to it, and we can still get done or started around the same time that the appointment is, or maybe something like 5 or 10 minutes after, but you need to get there early so that way that can happen. And you need to make a decision before the tattoo artist starts tattooing, because they put the stencil on you first, and then they say, does that look good? They make you look at the stencil, and if it doesn't look good and they need to change it, they can wipe the stencil off. That's no problem. Once they get the needle in and they start tattooing, there is no changing your mind. And if it really bothers you that much, then you're either going to have an unfinished tattoo on you, a finished tattoo that you're just going to end up getting covered up right after, or you're just going to have a tattoo that you regret down the line, or you're just going to end up pissing off your tattoo artist because you told them that's what you want, and then when you put the stencil on it was good, but now all of a sudden it's not. It's like you need to know. Now granted, mine was a screenshot from a movie clip, so it was easy for her and easy for me to explain what I wanted and where I wanted it to go and all this kind of stuff, and I said, I don't want the background. I think that was the most specific thing I said. I said, I just want her, I don't want the background, because the background has way too much color, would take way too much time, and it just wouldn't fit. I wasn't like, oh, this, that, and the other. I was just simple, and she appreciated that I was simple with it. The only thing I think we really had to decide was with the way it sits on my leg, her arms are back like this as opposed to this. But I looked at it and I said, I think it looks fine on the leg. I think it's not too much to where it's gonna, you know, really bring the tattoo down. So I had to make the decision, do I keep it on my leg? Do I put it on my back somewhere? And I just kind of thought about it for a few minutes and said, we'll still go with the leg. That's fine. You know, you gotta be decisive. If you're indecisive, then it just wastes time. Your tattoo artist gets pissed off. And sometimes if you just continue to be indecisive and waste their time, they will say, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore. Go to somebody else. I've seen that happen. I haven't had it happen to me because, again, I'm just pretty, you know, with like, you know, I'll tell them what I want and then the artist will draw it up. I didn't think this thing would look like this. I was just looking for a baseball on like a patch of grass, but then she drew this on my tattoo artist and I thought it was a lot better. And I said, you know what, we'll go with that. That's definitely better idea than I had. I mean, because in the end they're the artist. You got to trust them. They've probably been doing this for a while, and the ones I go to actually have a license, so they are like certified in this, so I can trust them when they say, you know, your idea was good, but what about this? I think this would look a lot better. And you can feel free to say no, but I liked her idea better than mine, and I said, you know, that's a lot better. And I just feel like people who give the tattoo artist a hard time with that stuff, it annoys me too, because like I said, I've sat there, I've seen it while I've been getting tattooed, and it's just like, you know, make up your mind with what you want. Don't waste people's time, and be sure that it's what you want. And if you have a problem with it, say something before the tattoo artist starts tattooing you, because once they start tattooing you, there's really no turning back. Then this one's kind of for after you get the tattoo, whether you have 1 or 2 session tattoo, or maybe even more than that, depending on how big the tattoo is. Use fragrance-free lotion 2 to 3 times a day. Now, there's nothing wrong with using lotion that has a fragrance to it, but for the most part, if it's not like certified to be used on tattoos, it will burn a lot more. And there's this gel stuff too, but you can't like rub that all the way in, so it just kind of makes a mess. So I'm using eczema lotion because I do have eczema. But it's fragrance free. As long as it says fragrance free, you can use any lotion to help your tattoo heal. And like I said, this is more of a after the tattoo gets put on thing, but most of the time the tattoo artist, when your session's done or the tattoo is done, before they, you know, wrap it up a little bit, they do put lotion on themselves, and you want to do it 2 or 3 times a day. You want to do it when you get up, and if it needs to in the middle of the day, if you feel like it needs some, like it's drying up or, you know, whatnot, then you can put some on then, and then probably after you get done in the shower, because you do have to, you know, wash it with soap in the shower, so it's going to get a little more dry. You definitely do have to put it on after that, and I think that's kind of, you know, good enough. And if you see a problem, if it starts to get infected, then that's kind of when you need to go to a doctor. But for the most part, you apply it 2 to 3 times a day for 3 weeks, I think. I mean, depending on what you have. If it's a small tattoo, it might take a week to heal. If it's a medium-sized tattoo, a week or 2. And if it's bigger than medium size, then it could take a little bit. But for the most part, if you use fragrance-free lotion 2 to 3 times a day, it will heal pretty quickly. Second to last thing is, please don't scream or throw a fit while you're getting tattooed. I get it, it's painful, but it's a needle. What were you expecting? Were you expecting it to be just pain-free and quick? Like, that's not necessarily how tattoos work. And like I said, depending on where you get it on your body, the more tender it gets. This tattoo, I keep going back to my first tattoo, it was fine all around here, but once she got into here near the armpit, that was so tender. It did start to hurt, but I didn't scream and throw a fit about it because, you know, I knew what I was getting myself into, and that's just what I tell everybody. You can't really scream and throw a fit and what, because I saw this video where, like, the person got mad at the tattoo artist for not telling them how painful it was, but I'm like, you know what you're getting yourself into when you're getting a needle that's doing this hundreds of thousands of times in your body while you're getting tattooed. It's gonna hurt. It's cutting open your skin. It's bruising your skin. Of course there's gonna be pain, and I think screaming about it is just, that's what little kids do. Like, maybe that's how some people bring out pain, but again, it goes back to start a conversation, get your mind off the pain, and maybe things will get better. But if you can't handle the pain, then you're probably just not suited to get a tattoo. And lastly, is the huge one. Tip your artist, for God's sakes. And I'm not talking about like $10, $15 tips like you would for waitresses or something. I'm talking about like $80 to $120 tips, because tattoos can be expensive, and there's some tattoo artists, mine does it, I don't know how many other tattoo artists do it, but I'm pretty sure there's some. Since, you know, we know each other so well, since this was only the first of 2 sessions on this tattoo, she was like, free of charge today, you'll just pay the whole thing when you come back. And, you know, even though I was generous of her, I still was like, well, you know what, I'm not going to leave with you, you know, being empty-handed on this. You spent 4 hours tattooing me, you know, even though it's not finished, here's an $80 tip. You know, it's just, you got to give them something, because in the end, they're taking time out of their day to give you what you want. They're putting their art on your body. I mean, granted, again, I got it from a screenshot of a movie, but she drew it, she put it on my body, and she's taking time to, you know, give me that art. And I'm all for artists getting compensation and getting what they need to get the art done, because they're taking their time and doing it for you. And I you know, she kept trying to say no, and I said, no, it's just take this. This is your tip. I get it. I'll pay the whole thing for the tattoo when I'm back, but you at least need this, because I'm not just leaving you with nothing for the day. And I think that's big for everybody to know, is even if your tattoo artist says, this session's free, we'll just pay the whole thing in the second session. That doesn't leave out tip. Give them a tip, for God's sakes, because they deserve it, especially if it's really good, and my tattoo artist is excellent. So, you know, I have to, you know, show her that I appreciate it, even when she's like, just go. This one's free. It's a nice thing to do. So yeah, that was it for some tattoo tips for people who are hesitant or you know, maybe just they want to get one but they're not sure how it feels or how it's going to end up. Those are just some important things that I think you need to know. And you know, I mean, I'm not super tatted out myself. Like I said, after this one is done on my leg, it'll be 5 that I have. But I feel like I have enough to kind of understand what you need to do and whatnot during a tattoo, after a tattoo, and even before a tattoo, because I've had it done multiple times. Now I did kind of have to get back in the thick of things because this was my first tattoo in 3 years. Last tattoo I got before this one was all pre-COVID, so it had been a while, but at the same point in time I was like, you know, I've gotten tattoos before, I understand. So I think the main thing for me was like, I'm gonna eat beforehand, and I already know what I'm getting. I sent her the picture, so that's pretty much done. I 100% know what I want, where I want it, so it wasn't, you know, too hard for me returning to getting a tattoo. But yeah, that's it for me. You can tell me in the comments below what are some other tips that maybe you would give others, like people who have tattoos. What would be some other tips that I didn't mention that you would give to people who are wanting to get a tattoo or are very hesitant, like they want to, but you know, they're kind of like, yeah, I don't know, kind of like I was with my first one again, where I thought I was going to wimp out, but luckily for myself, I didn't. I pushed through, and I continued getting more afterwards, because I don't like needles. But you'll find that a tattoo needle and a, you know, doctor needle are 2 different things. They're both scary, but in the end, I don't know what it is about a tattoo needle, but you get used to it more than a regular doctor needle. So yeah, that's it for me. Stay safe out there, wear your mask, get vaccinated, and I will catch you all in the next one.
You're a freaking weirdo and you're gay!